Hello, I'm Robert, fact-checking stories that scare you. And so this time it's about people who are just feeling hopeless in the United States. And I'm doing this to help you to realise there's a lot of hope and things will turn around. I'm sure they will, I'm certain they will. It's a matter of when they do. So first of all, if you're lucky enough to be in the northeast of the United States, then most of these places are doing it properly. This is the New York, and this is from their dashboard. That's their cases, and you see how it's going away. Now, and the ease lockdown sometime around here, in a gradual easing of various things, like first allowing large gatherings and then various other easings, and yet it's still going down. Now, as I said in my previous video about the second wave, we could have stopped this first wave. So if they'd had everything back here, it would never have gone up like that. They would have just stopped it like that. Just been a little ripple. Or even not even got there, they could have stopped it. The WHO was saying start surveillance way back then. They should have surveyed the cases back then. Then it would have never have happened. And anyway, so as you can see, they've only just recently, so May the 29th, they reached adequate testing. You can tell that because the percentage of positives show if you have a high percentage of positives, then that means that you are not testing very widely. You are mainly testing people who are in the hotspots, because then most of the people who have symptoms that are like COVID-19, if you test in a hotspot, will have COVID-19. So you get quite a high percentage. And that means you're not testing widely enough, because always when there's a hotspot, there are more people who are infected outside of it. So they only got to the point where they're testing enough, the 3% test rate. So that means they're testing quite widely by May the 29th. And then there's the contact tracing. So it's very important to trace the contacts for COVID-19. This is the key to stopping it, because people it's got a long incubation period, 5 days, could be up to 14 days. So this means that if you've been infected, then it may well not even have started to have had symptoms yet. When you find the first case, then their contacts, if they had contacts in the last 2 or 3 days, many of them haven't even had symptoms yet because of the long incubation period. And then also, if you isolate someone early on, then a lot of it's infectious for up to 2 weeks, and in mild cases for probably 10 days, unlike flu, which for adults is infectious for only 5 days. And most of the infection for flu happens before your symptoms. Although models say different things, the WHO, looking at actual transmission chains in Singapore, for instance, and they conclude it's only a few percent that actually pass it on to anyone else before you have symptoms. So for all these reasons, I could go into more details, but isolating quickly and contact tracing really works very, very well for COVID-19. And New York only reached 100% contact tracing on the 11th of June. And it was one of the first. I think it might have been the first in the United States. Remember that China reached their 100% contact tracing sometime in January. And the WHO in China and Dr. Tedros warned the world to be ready to do contact tracing on the 23rd of January and to be ready to do testing on the 23rd and isolation and surveillance in the community on the 23rd of January, as I said in my previous video. So New York was very, very late. 5 months late in doing that, but it has last achieved it on the 11th of June and has last achieved the test rate on May 29th. And this is the key to it managing to ease lockdown while still going down. If it had done that back then, it could have gone down without a lockdown before the lockdown started. We only had about a dozen cases or something. It's now doing it after lockdown, and the WHO kept saying, when the lockdown started around here, then the WHO kept saying, this is the ideal time to do tracing, because you've got far less contacts to trace. So New York should have gone to the 100% then, not here, where you've got far more contacts per trace, people to trace per contact. As soon as you do lockdown, whenever it was, they should have, it was a bit later I think, they should have done the tracing as well, and then it would have gone down like that. Much quicker. So this is a missed opportunity, but we can now take advantage of what we are doing. We have at last learned to do it, but it's not too late to keep going with this and to do it. This is Europe. Europe was very late as well. The Italians, when they started getting their large outbreaks, and they sent pleading letters to the rest of Europe saying, don't make our mistake, don't be as late as we were. And yet most of the European countries didn't listen. Germany was one of the few that did. And so Europe went through the same trajectory as so many places are doing. Then they start taking it seriously. And they take it seriously maybe about then. The peak happens a couple of weeks after they start doing the really serious measures. So if you do serious measures then it peaked around then, and then they're going down. And you can see that, for instance, the yellow, which was Spain, peaked early, and Italy peaked quite early, which is grey. Italy is grey, and so on, but some of them are continuing with lots of cases. The green is a later one, not quite sure what that green is. You can look up the map, Denmark, I think. So it's not yet over in Europe, but the end is in sight. But if you look, you've probably seen the overall one for the United States. I haven't got it on this page, but it's going up to a peak, then down, and then it's going up again. Now, but it's a mix. It's adding together this one, which is going down, with this one, which is going up. So you get going down because of going up like that, then down, then it's going up again because of the south and the west. So you're really seeing two separate epi curves there. You're seeing this one for the northeast going down, superimposed on this one going up. Give a curve that goes down and then up. And so these ones in the south and west, then they're just not taking it seriously enough yet. We saw on Memorial Day that the Californians and various others out on the beach and mingling with each other, and surely a lot of them passed it on to other people at that point. You can understand the relief, but there wasn't a clear enough public messaging. So it's not so much the public that are at fault. It's really the lack of clear public messaging. You should have constant ads saying, and constantly people on TV saying that you risk your parents, you risk your grandparents, you're risking the lives of that even young people, and you could end up in a ventilator for weeks, which is not at all pleasant, and it takes a few months out of your young life, and then you take some months to recover. So there are lots of reasons not to let yourself get it. And you can't protect yourself and stop yourself. So as I say, there are two things. The states easing lockdown. So here, you see most of them, the CDC said wait until you've got 2 weeks of declining cases before easing lockdown. It's obvious from these graphs that in the south and the west, then most states eased lockdown without waiting to see, in fact many of them eased lockdown before they had even any tracing to speak of. And the cases were still rising, and you shouldn't ease lockdown while the cases are rising. So in the Midwest it was more that they did have eased lockdown, but they may ease them maybe a little bit too fast, and maybe people ignoring restrictions on Memorial Day. Now, so I'm going to look at a case study of Arizona. Arizona is one of the worst outbreaks. Look how it's hugely increasing, up to 3,000, and just back in mid-May it was a few hundred, now it's nearly 10 times as much. Now if you look at remember I showed you the contact tracing gone up to 100% with New York. There's just a little blip there that they went from 100 to 396 contact tracers. is still very inadequate. It's not enough for their 3,000 cases. Typically, per day, you need more contact tracers than you have cases per day, usually 3 or 4 times as many. So you should have something like 10,000 contact tracers. Instead, they have 396. So there's no way they've got enough of those. They also are not testing enough people. They're testing at 22.6%. The threshold is about 5%. If you're above 5%, you've definitely not got enough tests to be able to find where it is. Now, they have got enough to get a rough idea of where it is. So remember, these figures are lower than the actual numbers. But it's clear that over 70% of the cases are in one county, Maricopa. So this also helps with, I think it's almost certain that Arizona is going to have to do a lockdown again. Because it is not testing enough, it's not tracing enough. It's got to buy itself some time because it will be hitting the limits of its intensive care units any day now. And it just won't have enough intensive care to look after people. And that's the 2 points at which it really hits. When you haven't got enough intensive care units and people are dying because you haven't got ventilators for them. And then the other point at which it hits, or they have to try to send them to other states or something. And then the other thing that really hits is when you have old people dying in care homes in large numbers, because usually they don't take sufficient care to protect the care homes. There are many measures you can take to protect care homes, and often these states that have these laissez-faire attitude don't do them. And that's when you get a real shock, and then they start taking it seriously. So anyway, I expect that Arizona will have a lockdown of County Maricopa. The good thing is that right at the beginning, when in March, then there just weren't enough tests. They'd only done 20 people per state on average by then. So with 20 tests for one state, you can't know where it is in that state. So that's why they had to lock down the entire state. And then they should have used that opportunity, as China did it for the same reason. It didn't know where it was, so it had to lock it down, everyone. And then it prioritized looking for it. The US didn't prioritize looking for it. It just used the lockdown by itself as the main measure. But then Trump did come on board and say we've got to hugely increase the testing. So then, unlike the United Kingdom, they did have that point. So that's a good point in the US favour, but they still didn't do enough testing. And they still haven't done enough in many states. And here you can see they're not doing enough yet in Arizona, though they're doing plenty in New York. In New York, they're finding only 1% are testing positive. That means that they're testing plenty of people. So it's uneven. Arizona is just not doing enough. But they do know that it's in Maricopa County is the main one. So they can do a lockdown there. And then in this county, whatever it is, and this one particularly, then chances are that if they just do ramp up on testing and contact tracing, they may not need to do a lockdown. So something like that is bound to happen in the next few weeks. There is no way that Arizona is going to continue on its own trajectory, its current trajectory, because it'll just keep going up. Tenfold increase in a month. Next month it'll be 30,000. And it's increasing tenfold in 4 weeks is quite normal if you're not controlling it properly. The next month after that it'll be 300,000 a day, if they have enough of a population to do that. So then next month after that is 3 million in a day. There's no way you can just let it go up and up. So Arizona is certainly going to stop it. It's just a question of when. And the more the delay, the harder work it is to stop, and the longer it takes to come down again. Like it's going to take an extra month. Look, they've gone up for a month. If they stop now, then it'll go up for another 2 weeks, because that's the delay of how long it takes for the measures to have effect. So it's going to go up to another maybe 10,000 if they stop now, 10,000 a day. then it'll go down because of your measures. If you're doing rigorous testing and tracing, then it'll go down about the same speed it went up. And that means that about 2 months from now, it'll be back to your 400. And then if you keep going another month or two, it'll be just a few cases a day. So that is like best case scenario for Arizona. Now, so you could say that it's just testing and they're doing more testing, but that's not the reason in Arizona because of the test rate. It's clear that they're not doing enough testing. If anything, it's more than that increase. And so we can expect that there's actually quite a bit baked in, going up to maybe 10,000 a day. If you're in Arizona, do be careful and protect yourself. And it's similar to the situation I was in the United Kingdom, and we all were, when our government just wasn't taking it seriously. And that's what's happening in Arizona, sadly. But as I say, countries and states do react when it gets really bad. And you can stop it. And your mountain habit is nowhere near. I mean, look, you've got, I don't know how many cases you have in Arizona, but it's far less than the population. I'll put the answer in the comment to this video. I'll check up the population of Arizona and the number of cases, and then it's only a few percent, even in the worst cases in California, which means that you can stop it way below the number where nearly everyone has it. And most of you can avoid having it. And if you do the protection properly, if you do the proper protection of yourself by washing your hands before you touch your eyes, nose or mouth, and washing your hands thoroughly, that's going between the fingers, the fingernails, the fingers, the back, the front, your thumbs. Do that every time you wash your hands. It may seem very tedious, but there's a certain routine you can go through that the WHO have explained that you just become second nature and you just do it every time you wash your hands. And it takes about 20 seconds. And keep a distance of at least 1 meter. Don't worry about just walking past people. It's not spread in the air. You might get flu just walking past people. You're not going to get COVID-19. You get it through talking to them face to face and little droplets coming from them to you at a distance of less than a meter, and usually for quite some time, like 15 minutes, unless they kind of spit at you or cough right in your face or something. So, and yes, I know this is the comparison, but the China reacted very, very quickly. But I've talked about that in my previous video, so this is the point at which I stop at 20 minutes, 18 minutes. So I'll stop this video now, and I hope this makes it clearer to you. The situation is very positive, that the Northeast has shown it can be done. The Midwest is just a slight up because you are controlling it. It's mainly the very, very sloppy behaviour, and it's not all the states in the South and the West. And but most of them are getting very rapid increases. And your governor has to change their policy. You have to be careful yourself. They need to explain to you properly. But hopefully, if you've been following my videos, you already know, and you will be doing physical distancing. This protects you. This protects those you care for. Those, if you tell everyone else to do that. This is the WHO advice. And if your governor is not telling you all the time, if your state is not telling you constantly that this is what you have to do, then they are a bit out of date and they have some catching up to do. And the testing and tracing, of course, you can't do that as an individual, but you can try and pressure, tweet, spread awareness, try to send letters or emails, anything like that. I did everything I could in the United Kingdom and nobody responded to any of it, even though I sent emails to the heads of all our parties saying we've got to do test, trace, isolate, including our Prime Minister. Nobody listened, at least nobody replied, except a form letter from one or two saying, we are listening to you, we listen to your, we listen to what you said and we will take it into account. And they clearly haven't read it. But you can try and maybe get some people listening. Anyway, that's it. And just a reminder of our Facebook group, Doomsday Debunked, and of course like and subscribe if you want to hear more of these. And then also our Facebook group, Doomsday Debunked. If you're scared, if you're good at helping scared people, if you're good at fact-checking, doing proper, rigorous fact-checking, or you have your own personal experience, you know certain things in a professional way, not just guessing, not just it doesn't really help to answer scared people saying, oh yes, I think the thing you're scared of is true, when you have no idea and you're just guessing, or to say, oh no, you don't need to worry about that at all, when again you have no idea. We need competent people who respond saying accurately whether what they're scared about is in fact something that is something that is a true thing, not just fictional, and if so, what are the measures they can take to protect themselves and what is being done, like I'm doing in this one. So in this case, some of our fact checks are completely fictional, it's just made up. In this case it's not made up, but a lot of the good news is not being explained properly, and there's too much focus on this and not enough focus on that. So I'm doing this to give you hope. It definitely can be stopped. And on your side, you can do it with proper protection of yourself and helping others to do the same.